There are always flowers for those who want to see them. Henri Matisse. Today, we are turning ordinary paper into beautiful collages inspired by the French artist Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse was born in the 1800s, and at first, he was a painter. What do you notice right away about his style? His lines are very loose and free. Let's look at the colors. Would you say these colors are realistic? No, right? Matisse painted according to the feelings and emotions he felt. This is a painting of his wife Amélie. Do you see the green and yellow in her face? Matisse painted all kinds of things. The inside of his house and still lifes like fruits and flowers. But as he got older, Matisse had a harder time holding a paintbrush. He had to sit in a wheelchair. And so he started cutting shapes out of colored paper. He called it painting with scissors, and his collages became even more famous than his paintings. This is me checking some of them out at a museum. I was kind of freaking out. They're so beautiful. In the end, Matisse made over 250 paper collages. Some were as big as a wall. He used a lot of organic shapes to make it look like seaweed or plants. He also used geometric shapes, like squares and circles. When you mix them together, you get a really interesting collage. Does this one remind you of anything? It reminds me of birds and seaweed and fish. Our collages will be abstract, which means they might not look like anything real, but maybe they do remind you of something. This one is called The Snail. Do you see a snail inside? Let's get to work. You'll be building your own collage out of paper, and all of our collages will look different. For this project, please take out the paper I sent home. It's got about 6 small squares of colored paper plus a big black one. Just pull it off, leave the staple wherever it ends up, and if you want to add more paper from your house, bring it on over. Otherwise, this should be plenty. You will also need a scissor and a glue. This picture with steps for the project will be on your Schoology page for you to look at, by the way. Step 1. Pick 2 pieces of paper. You're going to use these for your background. Take each paper and cut it in half. You can make a straight line, or you can make kind of a ziggy-zag or wiggly line. Then arrange them on your paper. You could have them straight upside down, kind of tilt them. Creates a very different effect. And try to think about balance with the colors. Instead of putting the yellow papers right next to each other, I split them up so the paper would feel more balanced. Now you're going to cut an organic shape. Don't cut teeny-weeny ones. Start with a big shape. I'm not drawing first. I'm going to try to cut wiggly lines so that I get something a little like the seaweed or leaf shapes Matisse liked to make. We're just going to see what happens and cool, I like it. Now don't throw away this second piece of paper. We're going to play around with what's called positive space and negative space. Positive is the shape. Negative is like the space around the shape. So look, you get 2 for the price of 1. How cool is that? If you put them right next to each other, it's not balanced. So again, go for balance, spread them out. Make it feel like the page is filled in. Cut more shapes. Step 3, I'm going to try a spiral. That's when you turn your paper round and round and round and round and round like a snake. And boing. So much fun. To make it so I can see it better on the paper, I'm going to make another tiny little snake right inside this one. Kind of pull it away and look at that. 1 spiral, 2 spirals, and this negative shape. Kind of the space where it was. Look at all this great stuff I've got already. Now, if you want, you can glue at this point, but I'm not going to glue quite yet. I'm going to keep adding and playing and moving things around. Does anywhere on your paper look kind of empty? This is called the composition in art. So we're kind of looking like, oh, what could use a little something, a little dash of color or a little shape. Final step. Take out your black paper and use it to make whatever you want. You could think of it as the focal point for your paper. It could be like a little person in the middle or an animal. Could just be more shapes. I'm going to draw a little stick figure here. And then I'm going to draw a bubble around it because you can't cut out a stick, right? Then I'm going to cut out the bubble shape that I made. And again, if it's not perfect, doesn't really matter. Just make sure that those arms are that you can tell they're arms. Flip it over to the clean side and decide where you want it to go. You could also write letters. You could write your name. You could write a message like, "Hi." Draw bubbles around them so that you have more space to cut. And again, this part is optional. When you make something darker, your eye kind of goes to it. So adding that little bit of black looks snappy. Now, when you're done, glue everything down. This will be sticky. It will take a while. Rub your shapes with your glue stick. Sometimes it's less sticky to put your glue on the paper first. And don't feel free to change your composition a little bit. If you want to take some shapes away, make it simpler, make it more balanced. I hope you have so much fun putting together these abstract collages inspired by our buddy Henry Matisse.